Welcome everyone to our panel today on women working in the digital world, which is part of our ongoing Grad Talk series. Today we're looking at what a career pathway looks like into different jobs that require digital skills. Our panelists work in different industries, construction, agriculture, and education, and they're going to share with you insights into the work they do and how to best prepare yourself for success in jobs requiring digital skills. It's my pleasure to introduce our grad panelists we have on board for today's discussion. With 10 years of construction experience, Marina Ramos has been involved in projects ranging from small to large in different areas, including commercial, retail, pharmaceutical, industrial, and high-rise. With a background in architectural and building information management, known as BIM, she has extensive knowledge of various modeling and coordination software, as well as scheduling software. She manages the BIM and scheduling department of Clark Construction Management. Her responsibilities involve supporting project teams during the proposal, pre-construction, and construction stages, delivering schedules and 4D presentations, managing and liaising with external consultants to create and maintain schedules, and manage, design, and coordinating models. She's also responsible for leading the clash coordination meetings for consultants and subcontractors. Marina graduated in 2019 from our Building Information Management and Architectural Engineering program. Welcome, Marina.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you could make it today. Kat Gagliardi is a GBC alumnus from the Business Administration Marketing Advanced Diploma Program, class of 2020. She started out originally in computer programming analysis at GBC, but switched to focus on the marketing side of business. However, she believes she gained fundamental skills from her computer courses that help her to be successful in the digital marketing environment she works in now. During her time at GBC, she was selected by faculty to participate in an Ontario College's marketing competition. Currently, Kat is a digital marketing coordinator at ThinkShift Inc., which is a marketing company that supports companies within the agricultural industry. In her role, she works with her team to plan, execute, and monitor digital advertising campaigns and reports on performance. She works with a variety of digital tools, including Google Ads, social and platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as Google Analytics. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Hazel Williams is an alumnus of our Child and Youth Care program who has worked in hospitals, group homes, and daycare centers as a behavioral therapist for school-aged children. For the past 20 years, she's been working in education with the Peel District School Board as a school-based child and youth care worker and is currently on their specialized team supporting students who struggle with their social, emotional, and self-regulation needs, as well as those who experience mental health concerns. Since 2018, Hazel has been running her own business called Big Girl Interrupted. It's a community that is dedicated to inspiring women to uncover what is interrupting their lives. She empowers women to disrupt the patterns that have impaired their ability to achieve and grow, learning to stand in their power and discovering their authentic self with the tool of a vision board. In both of her careers, she uses digital tools on a daily basis to deliver her products and services. Welcome, Hazel.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's get started. And seeing as each of you is working in very different industries within a digital scope, Hazel, you're in the education sector, Marina's in construction, and Kat specializing in marketing within the agricultural industry. How have these industries been able to navigate around the impact of COVID, and how does the future look going forward for those working in digital in these particular areas? And Marina, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. So here at Clark, we had some adaptations during COVID, right? So we have our site teams, and because we do high rise, it was considered essential construction during COVID. So those people, they keep coming in and making sure that we are building the buildings. And the people that usually stay in the office, we were working from home. I hired people during that period, and we trained people during that period completely digital. And then it was funny when we saw each other in person for the first time. And now we do a hybrid thing sometimes, usually on Fridays working from home, or it's much more flexible now, right? So if you need to stay home because you're not feeling well, you don't need to take a sick day. You can work from home. So it's much more flexible than was before. I think now everything is going back to normal in that sense. We work in Young and Bloor, and it was easy when we went back in the beginning of, well, actually in the end of 2021, when we start coming back to the office, it was empty, and now you can see how everyone is coming back. Traffic is crazy, so yeah.
Well, there's a good sign that things are going back to normal, right? Whether it's the TDC and all and difficulties there, or the traffic and the construction. There's just like I think you're right that it's an industry that is very solid and continues to grow and really weathered COVID very, very well. So that's great. How about Kat? How about the agricultural industry and the work that you're doing? How did you find that industry navigating through COVID?
So I had started with ThinkShift last year, so I didn't see the immediate effects of COVID, but I know that they had sort of adopted the hybrid model previously, and then when COVID happened and everybody was forced to be fully remote, they sort of saw that they could still be successful in this fully remote environment, and sort of breaking down the borders of just hiring within Winnipeg because that's where they're based. So realizing, okay, we can hire across Canada and really get the best talent without limiting ourselves geographically. So we are fully remote now, and I'm in Toronto. I have coworkers in BC, in the East Coast as well. So we're all across Canada, which is great. And even though we're in different time zones, we find ways to work together and work on our own times. And yeah, and I mean, just agriculture as well is same as construction. It was essential, so it didn't really impact anything there for them, which was great. But yeah,
Well, that's good.
definitely
So
been
it just kept
interesting.
rolling on. I think you're right. I think that, with some of the changes, it's allowed for a more competitive recruitment process, right? You can recruit from all over. And that makes it more competitive, which is kind of, I guess, energizing. And people need to be
Mhm,
prepared for that because that's who you're up against, a larger pool maybe of candidates. So good point.
mhm.
Hazel, how about the educational sector? What did you notice? How was everything during COVID and then coming out of COVID? How was it navigated?
Well, during COVID, we went strictly full-time online. Um, and that was a huge learning curve for a lot of us. We did use online was part of our job, but um, that learning curve of having to be full-time online and then teaching online and accessing, different tools and resources and keeping students engaged online was very difficult. But then you notice that there are some students that thrive, and that there are teachers who actually enjoy online learning. So now the model is you can do in-person learning or you can do virtual school.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of learning, and I think that for some groups, they really thrived in an environment where they didn't have to slog across town to get where they needed to be. They could set up a spot in their homes to get the work done. I think it was, especially for accessibility too. I think there was some real shifts there for sure. Okay, well, can each of you share with us what pivotal things happened to you that shaped your career choices and how you ended up in the work you do now? And I'm going to start with Kat, if that's okay.
Sure. Um, yeah, so I didn't go to college right away. I did take some time off after high school, and I would encourage that when it is possible. Um, if you do need that time to sort of sort things out and think about what you really want to do before jumping right into your education, I think it's great. It was definitely a good time for me to grow and learn, and yeah, so I'd done that, and then like you'd mentioned, I did originally go in the computer programming program at George Brown, and then after a year realized it wasn't really right for me, and sort of just accepting that, okay, let's find a better program for me and not forcing myself to finish it when it didn't feel right for me personally. So that's when I had switched into business admin. And then during my first semester, when we have all those sort of intro courses, I learned a lot about marketing, and I hadn't really had an idea of it before, but seeing sort of the creativity involved in it was really interesting to me, so I'd switched into that. So I think just having an open mind and not putting too much pressure on myself and trusting myself with what I wanted to do sort of got me to where I am right now.
So was it, when you say with the switch over from computer programming into business admin and there and onwards into kind of the marketing scope,
Mhm.
um, did you reach out to anyone at the college? Was there any, did you get any help that way around a coach or entry advising counselor or someone like that to help out?
Um, no, I kind of sporadically decided, like I've always had business in the back of my mind and honestly I was gonna take another year off and sort of think, but I was like, I'll try business and see how that goes.
Uh,
And again, just sort of going with the flow and yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just that it's sitting back and reflecting on what you're learning and what really excites you. And I really like that you said, sometimes you got to take some time and take a step back to sort of make a better move forward. And that time that a lot of people think is, oh, I should be active, I should be out there doing stuff. Sometimes
Mhm.
that is the best time, is just to take a break and really think through where you want to be and how you're going to get there. So really, really important to do. Um, how about Hazel? How about you? What were some of the pivotal things? I know that I mean, it's interesting that you started out in education and child and youth, and then you've got, I mean, it makes sense. You've got your own business going. Tell us that story. It's just so interesting.
So my experience has been, started at George Brown, straight from high school, and then I worked in the field, got lots of experience, and then through my experience working in the board, and working very closely with parents, I realized that um, parents have a lot of interruptions. And that's where I created the Big Girl Interrupted community, because I was also supporting parents with a number of personal challenges that they were having, which were then being displayed in the students that I was supporting within the school.
And so when you decided, because we've had a couple of transitions, right? The first was child and youth worker, and then you went into sort of shifted more to where you're working in that digital environment where it's not just in the classroom, but you're using a lot of tools in order to help kids through difficult times, I guess. Was that a big transition for you in that direction?
Um, it was actually exciting. I was really excited to learn. I like digital products, I like digital stuff. So it was a great opportunity for me, one, to expand my learning, and two, just to explore. And I used it as a tool with my students. So we're learning together. And I really like that because it brings a lot of engagement for them. But I love digital, so I love exploring and learning new softwares, new apps.
Yeah. And you're working with I guess a demographic that finds it very easy to navigate around those digital tools as well, which is pretty
Yes.
awesome. How about you, Marina? Tell us a little bit about, what shaped your career choices?
So I'm from Brazil, and back home, the way colleges and universities work is a little different. And when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to do kind of like a technical course in interior design. And that was really cool because I really got interested in that. I started learning the softwares from the digital side of the career during that time. And then when I started in university, um, I had already a little bit of knowledge on that. So it did help me through the course. And I did internships together with the university. I honestly think that the internships really helped me out. Seeing the professional world since the beginning of what you were studying does give you that different perspective. And then when I came to Canada and I did the George Brown program, that's something that really helped me too. Like having that co-op as part of the program, it's something that really, puts you out there for trying and starting your career.
And Hazel and Kat, were you involved in co-op as well in your programs?
Hazel, you were? I was not, no.
Oh, okay. All right. I know that the drive is to make sure all of our programs at George Brown College have co-op, but it can make a huge difference, right? And Hazel, you were saying, yes, you too were
Yes, I
involved in a
did.
co-op. And it
Yes.
does. It makes when you get out there and you're actually, taking what you've learned in the classroom and applied it in a real world scenario, it makes all the difference.
Mhm.
It does.
And
Yeah.
allows you to network. So you're out there and you're starting your first kind of reaching out and meeting people in the industry, and that is gold, right? When you start to look for work afterwards. So you build a
Yeah, you get
reputation.
exposed, and you also get exposed to the digital tools that co-op space and intern space is using. So that's
Yeah.
also good too.
That's great. Yeah, exactly. So you know what to expect, you know what they're, and so, even when you go out, and this is to the attendees who are listening to this, you go out there and you're fearful of what you have to know before you go out there, but the co-op allows you to sort of see what you need to know, and then you can go back and find ways to build on that knowledge base or that skill level. So you're
And
ready for.
one thing that I also find different, and I think it is a highlight here with the college, is that the college is much more hands-on than the university. So
Yeah.
I think that that experience, it complements each other, like, so going for the college first and then later on the university, it helps to, I think, people see if that's what they really like, because it sounds more like a realistic day-to-day of what your career is going to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, well, how would you advise those wanting to enter into your field the best way to navigate their career? Is networking essential? Is lifelong learning really important when considering a career in a digital environment? And I wanted to start with Hazel, but I know what I want, definitely talk about that, but also from the perspective of someone who started their own business. You're the only entrepreneur here, and it's a very different way of looking at a career. And so maybe you could speak through that lens around, how would you get started? Is networking still essential? Lifelong learning, navigating that piece.
Um, I'm gonna say networking is 100% essential. Um, One, especially because I'm e-commerce type of business, you need to network, one, to learn to connect with people who are using all these variety of different tools that will make your business easier to navigate and to run and have a very nice flow customer service flow to it. So it's good to network, to learn about what's new apps are out there. And it's also very important to explore different options that you can apply within your business. So I find that very
What, can you expand on that
my
a
key
little
thing
bit? Sorry,
in terms of the options of apps.
yeah, just what are some of those options, or what do you mean by that?
So I can speak to in my business. For my business, I use a number of apps to make my business run. And one of the platforms is Dubsado, and that's my CRM. That's my whole customer base. And it's the funnel that takes my customers through and provides a nice, smooth experience for them. There's also MailChimp, a way that I communicate with customers and I bring them in, I funnel them into my community.
Mhm.
And then there's the social media apps, and how do you connect that? What's the process you bring people from there, from the social media platform, into your own email community and then connecting with you?
Mhm.
And then there's the AI apps that are out there, which I love and I'm enjoying, that just help you navigate and write in terms of like how to speak directly to your customers and your
Mhm.
audience.
And so, just to stick with that for a minute, because I know when we're talking
Yeah.
about navigating into a career, so would you suggest to grads who are thinking about going in that direction, let's say they're coming out of a digital program or they're thinking about entering into something, that they consider joining a program that helps women to start their businesses, or finding a mentor who runs their own business that they could use as a kind of resource?
Yes, I agree 100%. Having a mentor, belonging to a woman's entrepreneur type community is really good. Um, Even an accountability community, you learn so much from being in an accountability community. That's where I belong to.
Yeah.
I also belong to a Woman on the Move community, and it's a group of entrepreneurs from different areas. So you're learning what other people are doing, and just because somebody's in construction doesn't mean that I can't apply what they're doing in construction or
Exactly.
in other areas into my business.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. All right, so Marina, how about you? How would you advise those wanting to enter into the construction industry in a digital sort of scope? What is your advice?
So I think networking is definitely essential. I think that's when I started on my career, that George Brown was a big part of it, because I tried to do every single event that George Brown was putting out there, and that was a great way to get to know the industry and you know and to chat and talk with people and understand what's going on in our industry now, and how people are driving their careers, and learning in the digital side of the technology. It's a everyday thing. Every day I learn new things. I open a software that I've been using for 10 years. I know I learn a new trick. So it is an ongoing learning for sure. And nowadays, I think technology changes so fast. If you don't go search for new things, if you don't be on top of what's going on, it's you're gonna miss out, because it's every day there are new things, right? It's actually very hard to keep it up with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you talk about digital, get ready, because it's nonstop learning, right? Because it's everything is so just in time, and there's new, as you know, Hazel was saying about the apps and things. There's just new stuff coming on board constantly. And Kat, how about you? Do you feel the same thing? What is your advice to those who want to enter into like a digital marketing environment? What would you tell them?
I think it's really just to keep an open mind and focus on, again, like learning those things and challenging yourself. And um, I hadn't set out to be involved in the agriculture industry. I just wanted to find a role that I was able to challenge myself and grow my skill set. And so I think even just when I was applying for jobs, just to have that open mind of this might not be the exact dream job that I'm picturing right now, but it's going to be a good fit for me. Um, in again, like learning and growing. So I think that is super important, and just have an open mind in kind of the field you're going to go into. And I think especially in the digital space, like Marina was saying, things are changing constantly every day. There's different ways to use platforms. Like I was just training one of our new associates, and I was teaching her something. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I could do this. So like each day there's something you can find, and um, you know, everybody works with these tools differently. Even within my team, within different industries, within different agencies, even. So I think just having that open mind is super important.
Yeah, and you're right, and that open mind and that curiosity about
Hmm.
what else is happening out there. What can I bring into my team that I could maybe introduce, or how do I get stronger at something? And it's
Yeah.
interesting you say like you're given a teaching or training skill or an opportunity, and you were able to build on that skill. So I think that
Hmm.
is keeping looking out for what could be available to you, so you can build on skills in your workspace. That's really
Hmm.
important. Okay, thank you. Um, Within your industries, what are some of the new trends that have emerged over the last couple of years? And I know we talk about remote work and things like that, but like have their attitudes changed? What kind of new technology are you spending a lot more time on? Things like that. And I'm going to start with Marina.
So my company is paperless, and they have been using Procore on site. And that means that we don't print those big drawings anymore. They use iPads and phones for that. On my department, we are the billing and scheduling department. So we use models, and there are a bunch of places now that they are building from those models, right? We look at those models to see, well, that pipe here, it's clashing with this duct. So that can happen. So we see the problems before they get on site. That's a
Mhm.
big trend on my industry right now. clash coordination. That's how we call it. I learned that on George Brown as well, on the Immersion program. So I think the digital world, I have trouble with this word, it's always changing, and it's definitely helping in different ways. So for example, when we solve a clash that was going to be a big problem on site, we are saving time, we are saving energy, we are saving material, so we don't have to rework, so it's also sustainable. So I think that the digital trends, they are coming in every single industry now. It's so cool that we have 3 different industries here to talk about it. And it's changed. Everything is just like evolving very fast.
Well, and you bring up some good information there around sustainability, right? Especially with the construction industry, around awareness of, um, you know, not using too much material, that you have to throw away, being a lot more lean, I guess, when it comes to how you approach the work you do. And I have to say, I love that clash. What is it? Clash, clash.
Clash coordination.
Oh my gosh, I find that's such a appropriate thing to call it, I guess, because you're trying to figure out problems, right? It's another way of problem solving. I like that. How about you, Kat? Can you share a little bit about that? What have you seen emerge in the last couple of years, specifically around, digital marketing?
I think it's again sort of this fully remote workspace. I think it's beneficial to my company as well, like not having to have that physical office obviously saves a lot of money. And again, it does really expand that talent pool and being able to hire the best people for the job, regardless of where they're working. They're very encouraging of the work from anywhere lifestyle. We have people in Colombia and in Morocco right now working while they're on vacation. I'm going in a few weeks on a trip to Europe, so I'll be working as well while I'm doing some traveling. So it's really nice to be in this space where they trust you to get the work done wherever you are, as long as you have your laptop and you have Wi-Fi. That's really all that matters. So I think it's really cool to see that trend kind of explode since COVID, and that realization of people can get their job done wherever. So yeah.
It's a very agile workforce now, right? And it's and everyone's sort of, I think there was a lot of pushback before COVID around like moving in this direction. Suddenly everyone's embraced it. Thanks for that, Kat. What about, I'm just curious, and you mean, in the deeper level of agriculture, do you know of any major trends that might be happening in the agricultural industry when it comes to creating marketing campaigns? Are you noticing anything there?
Right. So I think it's like on us to sort of give that education piece to them that, a lot of our clients are hesitant to even use TikTok ads because they see TikTok as, this, I don't know, maybe more juvenile platform, but everybody's on TikTok. Like we can still reach their audience that they're looking for on these platforms, and other platforms. So kind of just, again, continuing that learning and providing that to our clients as well of the opportunities, all the new apps and the tools and everything like that.
That's true, and you bring up that fresh perspective. Certainly, as a new grad who is learning all of that in a classroom, so it's really current information and learning what you can bring into a company with a fresh look at things and different tools that can be used. Hazel, how about you? What are some of the trends that are coming up in education or in your own work that you do within your company?
So I'm going to start, because it's a twofold question. So I'm going to start with education and then answer in terms of it's the trends are in my business. So in education, it's been giving us the opportunity to expand our learning as educators, and then turn around and expose children to different tools and apps, and especially children with disabilities. I want to say non-visible disabilities. They have access to a large amount of tools that I know that my experience in school, I wouldn't have had access to. So it's cool to see those digital apps and those digital platforms coming out there. And then also we have companies who are wanting to partner with the school board to help expand the learning. And then it also prepares students for college and university, because now they're well equipped. They have the tools to cope through and get assignments done. If they have to do placements or internships, they are already exposed to some of the tools, which is a great opportunity. Then in terms of my business, it's an awesome way to expand and grow. I've been able to connect with people worldwide. Some of my team members that I've hired in my business are in different parts of the world. So it's allowed us to expand through that way. And I continue to learn and bring in different digital apps into the business so that we can grow and be more efficient.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That sounds great. And you're so right. I mean, it's that ability to reach out, whether
Yeah.
it's with clients or with staff. So just bringing on a larger team from various locations. Okay, so what do you, I'm going to start with Kat on this one. What do you consider the top skills needed to really excel in the industry, or specifically in the kind of job you do, and ways to develop those skills? And today we talk a lot about soft skills, so touching maybe on both soft skills and those hard skills that are necessary too. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think again, just touching on having that open mind and trying new things and not being afraid to fail, and sort of teaching your ideas and challenging ideas of ways things should be done or could be done, and really trying all of that. I think especially in the marketing space, there's no one proper way of doing things. My coworkers might do something different than I am, so having those conversations and not being afraid, again, to ask those questions, or why are you doing it this way, or can we do something differently that way? So having that curiosity, I think, is super important.
And also that
else?
helps with working on a team, right? So that those
Yeah.
are team things, as you said, around, not to be open to what others people are bringing to that discussion as well, around ideas and what's possible, that sort of thing as well. So that's great. And what are when you think about, there's so much talk right now about AI. Now, I don't know how that must be something that's affecting marketing as well, and I don't really know enough around what are some of those tools that might be introduced shortly to that environment, that work environment. Can you?
Yeah, so it's definitely, and I think like our company has talked a lot about that, and we do have these conversations and these kind of learning sessions with each other when there are new platforms and new, like the newest thing is ChatGPT. So we've talked about that and walked through that, and sort of again sharing ideas around that, and not being, I guess, scared of the new technology, or sort of learning to work with it instead of against it, and using it as a tool instead of shying away from it, or this is how this is done right now. Things are always changing, and sort of having that humility to understand that, and to want to learn those things.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say Chat GPT, right? I think it is. And that would lead right into asking Hazel about some of these things, because that's the big fear. Some of the AI that's coming in is coming into the educational stream as well. And Chat GPT is, you could have someone write your essays and things in school now. But Hazel, from that lens, then through education, what are some of the top skills that are really going to be important to be able to master and use coming up?
Top skills. I think one, just being open to learning, getting ready to fail, and then learn from those failures. That's the important part, is learning from the failures, really evaluating process and what you did through that failure, so that you can get prepared to do it correctly the next time. Because I believe that's the only way that you're going to actually really learn, is when you actually evaluate your failures. So I would say that is key. And then just creating a network of students or a community of people around you that you can, like, almost like a little mastermind amongst each other. So you can share, okay, I learned this app and it's doing this, or I learned this and like work it through together. So definitely one mind is better than, I mean, is 100 times more fruitful if you have a multiple of minds together, right? So you can problem solve together. So yeah, I would say those are my two key things.
Well, you bring up that don't be afraid to fail. Be easy on yourself. Be gentle with yourself, right?
Yeah,
When it comes
yeah,
to trying new things and be ready for that. And then also that great suggestion around you're not alone. Don't think you're ever alone in the workplace. Reach out to people that may be able to share some insights on the tools they use and why they use it, or just help you to become more accustomed to what the expectations are in the workplace. And I think those are two really, really good things to think about for sure. Um, Marina, how about you and in the work that you do? What do you think are the top skills that you need to thrive?
So I'll divide in the technical and the soft skill side. On the soft skill side, I completely agree with what Hazel said. I think being open to learn is like a big skill set when you are not stubborn and you listen and you try new things. You are there to learn, right? And I think that someone that is initiating a career, that's really important, is being open and to learn. And there is this Brené Brown says that courageous is contagious, right? So more courage you have in yourself, you're gonna have some failures, but that's part of the process. Don't. I always tell my team that I want to provide them with a safe environment for them to grow, because that encourages accountability, right? But I think also accountability is owning your mistakes and you're learning from it. So I think on the soft skill side, that's very important. And on the technical side, construction is a big deal, right? You gotta make, like, when you're building a build, it's big. And I think drawings are very important. I haven't seen a lot of people that knows all the softwares out there, but they don't know how to read drawings. And that's really important in my field. You need to know, if you work on site, you need to read drawings. If you work in the office, you need to read drawings. If you are a project manager and you are working in construction, you need to know how to read drawings. So I would say that that's the basic, and I have the feeling now that with the digital world, we are so interested in learning the technology and seeing the new things that sometimes we forget the base, right? With the basic
That's
stuff.
true.
So I think drawings are very important. The softwares are very important too. So on a day, I think I use more than 6 different softwares. So I use Navisworks, AutoCAD, Revit. I use Bluebeam, Procore, and there's so many different ways that people can now learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like external sources like LinkedIn Learning that you can access through the Toronto Public Library for free if you have a card. That platform for free. Has so many different things that you can go and learn and go a little deeper, and it's free knowledge out there. So
That's a very good point, right? So you can access that information pretty much anywhere, which is amazing. And I was going to ask you a question around George Brown College in preparation. I mean, we also have obviously when you're learning, you're getting a lot of those skills. What is if you could give me one thing that you took away, Kat, from George Brown College, a resource, or was it a teacher? Was it an opportunity that contributed to your success?
I think it was a bunch of things. Like, honestly, I think taking advantage of all the opportunities that were given to us and making an effort to find those opportunities. Again, I did the marketing competition. Like, that was a great experience for me. We've also had a speed mentoring event through the business program. So being able to talk to people in the industry while we were still in school and asking those questions and getting an idea of like what our careers are going to look like. And I also had the chance to go to Dublin for exchange. So I finished my last semester out there, and that was through the college. So just taking advantage of all of those opportunities while you're in school, I think was great for me, and just even my personal growth as well as professional.
Mhm. So I know that some students may be listening to this and watching it, and that's a really good point. If you're in school, look for opportunities. Look for really reach out and see what's available to you. Hazel, how about you? Was there anything at the school that really sort of set you on your path?
It was the internships. The
Okay, yeah.
internships because that helped make my final decision of actually where I wanted to be, which was in education. Having those 3 years of placement and in different settings
Mhm.
made me realize, okay, this is where I shine and where I do best. So that was the great thing that I got from my
Yeah,
takeaway from
yeah,
George Brown, being at George Brown, besides the networking and the teachers, because my teachers were extremely helpful and important to me too.
hmm Okay, fantastic. Marina, how about you? What is something that you felt the college did for you that got you on your way?
For me, it was a bunch of things as well. The career fair, I got my two first jobs in Canada. I got through the career fair at George Brown.
Yeah.
The year I started in George Brown was the year that they had the strike. So instead of starting in the beginning of January, we started in the end, and the career fair was 2 weeks after I started. And one of our professors teach us the elevator speech right in the first week. And I went to the career fair and I used my elevator speech. My English was not good at that time, but even though I got my first job there on that career fair, so I think that was really important for me. I think also the fact that all my professors were working in the industry, so they had like a full-time job in the industry and they were teaching in the school. I think that was I could feel the experience. I could feel what's going on in the industry for real. And I think all the events that the GBC organizes for the students to attend and bringing people from the industry in for speeches.
Oh, we've lost you. We've lost you. The sound went off on your mic, I think, her.
Can you hear me again?
Yes, now I hear you.
And
Okay.
the events that George Brown was organizing was also was a big thing for me because that was a good opportunity for me to network and get to know more people in the industry.
Oh, that's good. All right. So great. So you took away a lot of things from the college. We're kind of on time. So I have one last question for you. And it is around just, I think a lot of grads and students want to know how to stay on top of things, whether, where would they network, what associations should they belong to? Have you got any tips around that for our grads or students? And
I can
I'll
go.
start.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think again, just sort of taking advantage of those opportunities and staying connected with your classmates and keeping in touch, especially obviously through LinkedIn is kind of the best platform for that. And you'll be able to see who's sharing job opportunities. I connected with a lot of my professors as well, and they're always more than happy to share opportunities. Hey, grad students, these jobs are all available. I've seen a lot of that from past profs, so I think that's super important, and they're always happy to help with that. And you could even send them a message if you need advice. I think my teachers at least were great for that. So I think that definitely take advantage of keeping those connections alive. And even in my current role right now, just connecting with my own coworkers, and because we don't really see people having 30, 40 careers anymore at one industry. We're all on our own career paths, and you might be at 10 or more different companies. So staying connected with your coworkers at each step and being involved in finding those opportunities, I think is what I would do.
Excellent, excellent advice. What do you think, Marina? What sort of what's important? How do you stay involved? What associations or groups would you suggest to those who are interested?
So in my area, we have the Toronto Being community. They do events, and I've been to a few of their events when I was a student, and that was good for networking, for also to know the technology out there. There are a bunch of conferences that happen here in Canada related to that. That is a good opportunity for networking as well. And when I was a student at George Brown, I was a peer tutor as well. And I believe when you share knowledge, you gain knowledge.
Mm.
So that was a great experience too. So I was basically helping students for Revit to do assignments. And that was a great experience in college as well.
Nice. Okay, great. All right. And Hazel, how about you? What are your last words on that?
I would say network, stay connected with your students, seek a mentor, and just look for different opportunities. Put yourself out there. Don't be scared. Just and ask questions. Ask questions, because that questions will lead you to opportunities.
I think that's a really good point, is like, don't be afraid to reach out. And I know I tell grads all the time, LinkedIn is a networking source, and you've got to reach out to people over LinkedIn. It's a great source to use. So that is all amazing. Well, thank you so much, Marina, Kat, Hazel, for joining me today and sharing your stories, your insights, career advice to our graduates and some students who are tuned in. And, you know, just a little bit more about working in the digital world. I really thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so take care, everyone. Stay safe and good luck as you move into or upwards in your career. Stay tuned for other alumni events coming up. You can learn about those events through our newsletter, website, or through our social media channels. So be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Bye for now.